It's overwhelming, but it's also our jobs.
Our job is only going to get harder.
It's worrisome.
This is something that's unprecedented.
Now is not the time to be a cowboy. No one has anything to prove. We're all in this together.
Welcome to Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I'm Natalie Benoit, and I'm here with Maria D'Arcangelo Lapides, a producer, writer, and the owner of Angel Retentive in Los Angeles. Thank you for joining me today, Maria.
You're welcome.
So I guess what I wanted to ask you first is I want to know a little bit more about the work that you're doing. And you mentioned a special project that's coming up as well.
Yeah, I have a number of different things I'm working on. However, due to the pandemic, a lot of things have been put on hold or pushed back for a later time in the year, which is, it's going to be like that for a lot of people and a lot of businesses, but especially in the entertainment industry. Everything's been put on hold, so to speak, until we get through this first wave of this epidemic. And then I think things will pick up probably, June is what I'm looking for. So we'll hope. That's all we can do is hope. Definitely. So yeah, I'm working on a number of different projects. I'm an organizer. I have my own company called Angel Retentive. So I'm a professional organizer, meaning I'll organize everything and anything for you. It's like the Marie Kondo of organizing, but I'm Maria Can Do. And I'll go in and I'll organize just about everything and anything. I have a high celebrity clientele. They only want me organizing their things. So I pride myself on that. I'm very happy with the work that I do. And the clients have the trust and the faith in me to go in and actually work for them. Extremely discreet. It's very confidential. And I know what they want and what they don't want. And I have access to a lot. So, I'm very careful in how I handle it. So I'm doing that. In addition to that, I have a number of other projects that I'm working on. Two projects, actually three, but two that are in development right now that I'm waiting for green lights on. But like I just said to you before, the pandemic has kind of put everything on hold. So I'm waiting to hear now from a couple of different studios on, whether or not they are a go or not. And it's a wait and see kind of game.
Definitely.
Let's see. What else can I tell you? There's a number of different things that I do. I'm also, I'm an advocate for Teva Pharmaceutical. I'm a patient advocate because I have multiple sclerosis. So I reach out and help those who also have the disease and try to, get them through the hurdle of whatever it might be they're going through. And I take that work very seriously, and I've been doing it for 10 years plus with them and very successful at it. And the drug that I'm on has been terrific for me. So I'm happy about that. So I advocate for that in addition to doing everything else I'm doing.
Very busy life, very busy schedule.
Yeah, very busy. Yes. Yes.
So going off of that, you mentioned, I'm assuming that the work that you do with those clients, you're going to their spaces and working with them to be to organize. So that obviously must have shifted with the pandemic. So can you tell me a little bit about how you've had to adjust the work that you do since we've been hit by COVID-19?
Well, I got to be honest with you. Virtually everything has worked to my benefit. So a lot of times the clients don't want to be at home or in their office when I'm actually doing the organizing for them. A lot of times they'll just want me to come in at like 8 in the morning, and then, they'll leave and they won't come back till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And it gives me the freedom to do what it is I need to do for them. Virtually it's worked out. Because if I can go into somebody's kitchen or bathroom or bedroom, playroom, whatever it might be for them that they need organized, I'll just go in, do it, and then virtually I'll FaceTime them like you and I are doing now, and I can basically show them what it is I've done, ask them if they like it or they don't like it, or what changes that, amendments that they want me to make to it, and then I'll do it. And a lot of times clients don't even know what it is they want. So I'll go in and I'll organize something and they'll just go, okay, this is perfect just the way it is, because it was so disorganized, or there was such clutter or disarray that they didn't even know what it would look like had it been, organized all along. And so they don't even miss it, so I love a client that gives me the freedom to do that, as opposed to one that's on top of me, watching me do it, because then it's like a helicopter parent, somebody watching you doing your profession. I can move the room around 5, 6 different times. I can put files in one place, files in another, and then I work with it for about 20 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever. If it works for me, great. If it doesn't, then I rearrange it. If the client is there, then I get their second opinion. I get,
Right.
when they come home at the end of the day or when they see the final project and they don't like it, then I work with them and I see what works best for them.
That makes
So
sense.
virtually everything's been working great for me. I actually love this. It's really been helpful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, aside from that, have you had to adjust other parts of your life virtually, and how have you taken certain precautions if you do have to go out, what are you doing to stay safe?
Wow, of course. Well, if I'm going out, I wear the face mask like everybody's wearing. I don't have it on now because I'm indoors, but I usually do wear the face mask and the gloves. And I'm very careful at what time of day I go. I don't go high volume times. I go when everybody else is either asleep or there's not high volume in the stores. And I'm very cautious on where it is I'm going and keeping abreast to the news to see who's following regulations and who isn't.
Right.
I'll stay, I'm just, I'm being smart. I'm being savvy and I'm being smart and you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's causing a problem for everybody, but at the same time, we need to be safe.
Yeah.
And the only way we're going to stop the spread of this is if we stay in and stop spreading it amongst ourselves.
Definitely.
And people that don't understand that, just, it's a shame. But I think most of the country now sees that the mandate of staying in is helping things. Looking at the polls lately and looking at the news reports, I see it starting to even off a little bit, and I'm hoping that we're on a downward swing. But at the same time, I mean, people do have to live, and that's the part where people don't understand that life goes on, yes, but at what cost? So you just have to take the necessary precautions, and if that's adhered to, then we'll all be fine. Just can't be can't be lax about it.
No. At this point, no, yeah. It's become much more serious.
Absolutely, it has been. Yeah.
And also, what have you heard from your own clients or from people around you saying, what are their concerns or what kind of messages and thoughts have you heard people kind of bring up more recently?
Well, the recent concerns have been, are we going to have is it going to have a relapse? If we do go about life as normal too soon, will there be a relapse? And absolutely, 100%, they're saying that is the case. So why rush it? So what? We take an extra couple of weeks and we adhere to everything till May 15th instead of May 1st. What harm is that going to do anybody? And the other thing people don't even haven't even been talking about, it's forced us all to slow the heck down.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, no matter what you do, slow the heck down. Like, why the rush? Why do you have to be first in line at the grocery store? Why do you have to get this done today or tomorrow? Everybody's had to take a beat. And I think it's society's way, pulling like a joke on all of us, like, slow the heck down.
Yeah.
Stop, smell the flowers. This is unbelievable what we're all going through. And we're all in this together. I'm no different than you are. I'm no different than the farmer in, middle of the country. I'm no different than the longshoreman in Boston, the techno guy in, Northern California. We're all in this together and we have to understand that. And if we are in it together, we need to solve the problem together.
Certainly.
And slow the heck down. It's all going to be there. It really is. And as far as getting the government up and running again, well, listen, I know we're in an economic, hold. We've gotten out of economic holds before. We've survived pandemics. History has shown that we will survive and we will get through it. Is it going to take time? Absolutely. Rome wasn't built in a day. But at the same time, we need to take the precautions in order for us to get back up on our feet. We are the United States of America. We're never going to forget that. And we can overcome this. It's just a matter of time and being smart about it and not being hasty. Haste makes waste. And we'll go 10 steps back if we push this before we move forward. And that's not healthy for anybody.
Yeah. And you mentioned, how everyone is going through the same thing. And in a way, that's kind of a unifying idea where we're all experiencing this pandemic together. Do you think moving forward, we're going to see certain shifts in society after the pandemic passes, hopefully?
I hope we do. I hope this is a wake up call. I really do. I hope we don't go back to our old ways, meaning the greed and everything else that we had been, seeing in the news. I just don't want to go back to that old way. I think people are going to reevaluate their own existence and those around them and really taking more care of the people that are around them.
Yeah.
I don't think people are going to be so, quick to judgment. I think this is going to really open a lot of eyes. It doesn't matter, white, black, Asian, Latino. It doesn't matter. This disease has no, no social or racial barriers. It's affecting everybody.
Exactly.
So we are all in it together. And that reason, I think people really have to come together. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't. It's, back in the day, in the early 90s, I think it was 93, the Rodney King, the LA riots, Rodney King had this famous saying, can't we all get along? Well, it's like the pandemic of 2019 now. I mean, 2020. Can't we all just get along? I mean, I see people being civil to each other in the grocery store. I see people giving each other parking spaces. I see people letting people in lanes, although there's not a lot of driving, especially in Los Angeles now. But I think people are being more humane rather than inhumane. I mean, people are just, I let somebody in the other day. They were in the grocery store and they had only 2 items. And the elderly couple, they wanted to go in and out, so let them in. What's the big deal? You just got to take a beat. And why? I mean, I forget which company does it, but I don't know. Long before this happened, I think like March 15th or whatever. 16th was my birthday, so March 15th.
Oh,
I remember
happy
going to
belated birthday.
Thank you. And I remember going to Starbucks, and there's this whole thing, pay it forward. When this person behind me, and I could tell, they were struggling a little bit. So of course, I bought the coffee. I bought the coffee, whatever else they had on the counter. So I think people are going to be paying it forward. I can just tell by going to the grocery store. I'll say to my neighbors next in the area, I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything? Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad because then I get lists.
Get people's errands,
yeah. And then I have to get everybody's groceries. But at the same time, if I'm willing and able to go out and do it, and it's going to help somebody else, why not?
That's so true.
Why not help another person?
Right. And I guess that's a very positive way of looking at it because like you said, hopefully moving forward, people are going to be kinder, show more humanity. But for you, what has been the hardest thing to deal with during the pandemic?
The isolation.
Yeah.
For me, it's the isolation. I'm a people person. I like to get out. I like to mix. I like to mingle. So for me, not having that one-on-one, interaction is a little hard. And yes, we're doing it via Facebook and Zoom and, Skype, and we're able to use all the technology, the modern technology to enable it. But there's still nothing like, in-person, interaction.
Yeah.
And that part's hard. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's easy. I'm glad I can see you face to face now, but a lot of times, you're on the phone with somebody and they're in an office and they don't have accessibility to FaceTime or Zoom or any of this. So that the isolation, I think, is really what's gotten to me the most.
Yeah.
It's feeling confined. And it makes you think of people that have, debilitating diseases that can't go out, or people that are confined in a jail or, a long-term care facility. The elderly. I mean, my heart bleeds for them. I mean, they can't go out, a lot of them. And those who are paralyzed can't get out. So we're getting a little taste of our own reality going, wow, this is unbelievable. This is what they go through on a daily basis. Yet they get along because they know nothing, they don't know anything different, but still it's a way of their life. So,
Certainly.
That's hard.
And have you faced, more stress or have been having a harder time dealing with everything that's happening? And if so, how have you been dealing with it?
No, I'm not that type of person. I'm not a worry ward. It is what it is. Let the chips fall where they may. There's only a few things in life you can control. It's like me with my MS. There's very few things that I can control. I have MS. The only thing I can control with my MS is I give myself my own injection. I give myself an injection every other day. So I know that I'm in control of myself giving my injection. Something like this, I'm not in control of this pandemic. Who knows what's going to hit? But I am in control of how I conduct my life in relation to it. I know I'm not going to be, going out and infecting people. And I know when I need to go to the grocery store or when I need, what I need. I'm very, conscientious of that. So, but I don't let it scare me. That's never been an issue for me. You just gotta, you dealt a deck, a card. It's like a card, deck of cards. That's what I have to say. It's like a deck of cards. You don't know when you wake up in the morning what it's going to be.
What's going to be dealt to you? Yeah.
We don't know. Tomorrow we could have an earthquake and we could all be crumbled.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's just, you never know. You kind of have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's always been got to deal with it. Yeah. Easily adaptable. I think that's a good way for this pandemic. Easily adaptable. Mm-hmm. If you're easily adaptable to the ways that they want us to conduct ourselves in putting the kibosh on this whole thing, I think we'll be okay. Yeah. It's those who are resisting it or balking or squawking at it, they're the ones that are getting in the way of all of it.
Yeah. And, since you've been home a little more time, spending more time at home, have you picked up any new hobbies or done or learned anything new that has kind of, been exciting or that you've enjoyed?
Well, that's interesting because I'm an organizer. So naturally, I'm going to want to organize every room in the house, every drawer, everybody's got me, doing something. Mm-hmm. So that keeps me busy. But that to me is pleasure. Mm-hmm. Because I love to do it. I love to organize. So I feel complete when I'm doing that.
Right.
As far as something new, I dabbled in, different things. Technologically, I'm not that,
savvy. Yeah.
No, I'm a technophobe. So it's given me the opportunity to have my son or my daughter or anybody who comes through the door that is technologically savvy mm-hmm. to kind of help me with this.
Yeah.
Overcome, because I have to overcome the fear. The technophobia is like blows me away. Yeah. You guys, your generation, you just do it because you know it. You were mm-hmm. raised with it. Yeah. I'm not going to say how old I am, but my generation, we kind of are afraid of it. Mm. And that's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a good thing. I need to embrace it as opposed to be afraid of it. Mm. But I hesitate embracing it because I love doing things the old way.
Yeah.
I'm old school.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, you can either make that work for you or against you. I'm at a point in my life where I need to make it work for me, not against me. But there's nothing wrong with the old way. And that's what people forget to realize, But mm-hmm. you got to go with the times,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And, I'm just thinking about this now, but, you mentioned that you have MS, and I'm not mm-hmm. sure how it works with doctor visits and appointments, but since the pandemic hit, has it affected you in that sense in terms of making sure everything's
No, it hasn't, because I haven't had to have any doctor's appointments relating to my MS. So that's good. I've been basically stable now for some time, and I'm not going through an episode. So I don't need to get to the doctor to get any kind of medication or whatever. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, I'm okay. I know friends that, have experienced, other symptoms with other diseases and they've had to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And it's just the institutions out here, the medical institutions, they all make it real easy for you to do that. Between Cedars-Sinai and UCLA mm-hmm. and Santa Monica. And they all are very amenable to helping somebody get in and out of appointments.
That's great.
Yeah.
And, for someone who is interested in broadcast journalism and the entertainment industry specifically, do you have any advice or tips you would want to share with them?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to know everybody and everything. You need to know who everybody is in the industry. Mm-hmm. When I first moved out here, I had a job all lined up with KABC, and it fell through the day that I moved out here because 1986, January 28th, the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up, and I was on a plane moving to California to take a job at KABC in the newsroom. We landed, and I was met by my producer, who said basically, The job that I promised you at KABC in the newsroom doesn't exist. Space Shuttle Challenger blew up and you don't have a job. And ABC merged with Cap Cities and laid off 500 employees.
Oh, wow.
So that wonderful job that I promised you doesn't exist. So I said, okay, where do I go? What do I do? I had interned for him for a number of years during the summer while I was at Emerson. And he felt an obligation to me to kind of make sure that he guided me in the right direction. So he guided me to a talent agency, and I ended up getting a job at the talent agency and got to actually work for the most powerful person in Hollywood for quite some time.
Wow.
And I did my time, and I did my grad work, I want to say, in the Michael Ovitz School of Management, where I got to know and learn who everybody was in the industry. You have to know you need to have a great Rolodex, and you need to know who all the players are. You need to do your homework. You need to know. And now it's a bit more, intricated because you've got tech is involved now.
Yeah.
Before it was just the major studios, but now you've got Silicon Valley. You've got overseas distribution. So there's so many more elements that
More
you need
players
to
in the
know.
game,
Yeah, totally more players in the game. So you have to really know your stuff, whether it's behind the camera, in front of the camera. You have to do due diligence so you're up to speed. Because if you're not, then your competition's gonna, win you out, beat you out.
Definitely. So research is a big thing, right?
Yeah, not only research, but it's the hands-on experience and the knowledge. So if somebody says to you, like, I'm going to throw a couple of names out there, like you probably know, I don't even know if you know, because generationally, if you don't know who Michael Eisner is or was in this world, I mean, he was like the head of Disney, Walt Disney Company. Okay, if you don't know who that is, if you don't know who Michael Ovitz is, if you don't know who some of these key players were that built this up, if you don't know who Mark Zuckerberg is, I mean, there's certain names you have to know. You have to be on point.
Right.
You have to know who you have to know who the players are. Because if you don't, you're behind the eight ball. You need to know at least, who the top, box office draws are right now, what they're making. You just need to know the major production companies in town. You need to know, who they're buying. You need to know all of that. There's a lot more research that goes into it just than being the pretty face behind the camera, in front of the camera, or the director, behind the camera. You need to know everything, a little bit about everything, and then you'll get by. Because that's what I had to do. I learned everything from the ground up.
Wow. That's great advice. Thank you.
And you have to entrust yourself to somebody to teach you that. You have to know. You need a mentor that's going to walk you through it. And luckily, I did have a mentor. And he put me in the right direction on where to go. And then you're on your own. And then when you're in the door, then you can basically get in there and milk it for all it is.
Yeah.
You ask questions, and no question is ever stupid. You've heard that in school so many times. There's never a stupid question. There's not, because the person next to you is asking the same thing in their mind, and they want to know.
Yeah.
So why not ask? But yeah, and don't be afraid. Fear will stop you. Don't let fear be a detriment for you. Just make it happen. Just do it. Just do it. Nike built the slogan, a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Just do it, and you got to just do it. No fear.
Thank
No
you.
fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share, whether that's with the pandemic or the work you're doing?
Wow, there's so much, woulda, shoulda, coulda. I don't regret anything that I've done when I moved out here. It was a little shocking and disheartening that I moved out here and the wonderful job that I was promised didn't exist.
Yeah.
So what do? You're automatically, shut down right there. I'm thinking I'm landing on Friday. I'm starting my new job on a Monday, and just to find out that job didn't exist.
Wow.
So what am I going to do? I flew 3,000 miles across the country. Didn't know anybody. What do?
Wow.
I had interned here for 4 summers, which was great, and I knew LA, and I loved LA. So the city became my family, so to speak. But you just gotta go with the unknown. Go with the unknown, and you gotta make a lot of it. You gotta just do it.
Best, yeah.
Do it.
Thank you, Maria, for taking the time to speak with me and for the work you're doing to stay safe. And thank all of you for watching this episode of Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I've been speaking with Maria D'Arcangelo Lapides, a producer, writer, and the owner of Angel Retentive in Los Angeles. I'm Natalie Benoit.